there is a connection issue. Okay.
In the heart of the urban jungle, a unique species of Homo sapiens thrives. Identified by their common adornments, the humble hoodie, their peculiar yet endearing rituals involving ping-pong tables, and an astonishing amount of free coffee. The startup Homo sapiens.
I'm no David Attenborough, but I know a thing or two about startups. For example, did you know they don't run on coffee alone?
I'm here to guide you on an extraordinary journey. Our new Twitch series, AWS Let's Build a Startup. Together we shall observe how an idea evolves, grows and matures into a real minimum viable product. All of this within the AWS ecosystem. Whether it's the thirst of knowledge guiding you or simply your passion for free caffeine. Join me on this fascinating journey.
Oh, hello, founders. Welcome back to yet another episode of AWS Let's Build a Startup. This is your weekly fix of everything startups on AWS. So I'm here with a special guest today. I'm here with Nicolas. Hey, Nicolas, how's it going?
Hey, Giuseppe, super happy to be with you today. I'm super fine. Hope you are doing well as well.
Yeah, and you're streaming from Paris, right? Today, you're in Station F?
Yeah, I'm actually in the Station F office. I'm in a phone booth, so I'm sorry in advance if the connection is not stable. But I won't be the main speaker today, so I think
yeah. Now that's the kind. And as usual, I'm streaming from our London offices. But folks, do let me know where you're actually connecting from. What are you building? And as usual, I'm super curious to learn more about what you're building. What is it that you're doing? Where you're doing it? And I always encourage you to ask us as many questions, because today we have the privilege of picking the brains of somebody who's been there, done that, and I think got the fish. We will have a lot of analogies today and a lot of references to one of my favorite books. Actually, you'll discover in a few seconds what is it that we're talking about. But today it's all about understanding from experience what kind of best practices you can adopt in your own startup. So I guess without further ado, I really want to welcome to our stage Fabrice. Fabrice is the CTO of Mindflow, and I think I'll let him the really hard job of actually explaining what Mindflow is, because apparently this is a best practice that he has built in his own team. Every engineer should be able to sell really what is it that your startup is doing, especially if you are early stage. So just a little bit of a transition, and I'll bring Fabrice on stage. Thank you so much for joining. And welcome, Fabrice, to our humble studio here at Let's Build a Startup. And thank you so much for taking the time off your absolutely super busy schedule as a CTO of an up-and-coming startup based in Paris, France. So we have a few folks that are actually connecting from Spain. Somebody's not actually in London, but they're searching a job in London. So yeah, just let us know. Maybe we get somebody's asking actually, can we work with Mindflow? So absolutely. Maybe you don't need any introduction, but I think again, let's start from your first principle, which is everyone should be able to do to nail a sales pitch of what is it that your startup is doing, especially if you're in maybe your first couple of years as a startup, below 50 employees. So I'll leave that hard task to you.
Thank you, and hi everybody. The first thing is that when we created Mindflow, we were like 2, 3, 4 people, and so you don't have sales team, you don't have anyone who is capable of doing your pitch instead of your team. So you need to go on and try it for, I mean, hundreds of times. And everybody needs really to be able to do a pitch. That's what we did from the start. And the first testimony I had is that during our first event, we were in Lille in France, and it was a big event in cybersecurity, plenty of people. And we didn't have some sales guy. We just had developers. And you know what? Developers are really good at pitching products.
Yeah. I took that kind of path myself, right? So I started as a developer, but then like I got more and more interested in what kind of business that we are building. That then I transitioned into this kind of sales / advocacy position. So I guess that applies even I would say harder to an early stage company. And by the way, folks, I'm sharing into the various chat channels a link to what is it that we're going to talk about today, which is the Startup Manifesto, and it's a list of 42 best practices that you want to embed in your startup as early as possible, because this comes distilled from the experience of Mindflow. So I guess why don't we dive deep, maybe into what is it that you're doing, and then we can switch directly to the Startup Manifesto.
Yeah, so let me share my screen to show what we do basically.
I love a demo.
Okay, so you shall screen my screen.
Absolutely.
It's very simple. We bring to enterprise the reality of coming from an idea of automation to building the automation and running it at scale. Okay. So you might know, of course, about a lot of automation tools on the market. Some are trending, and we are trending too. But the problem is that either they are too complex or they are limited. And I'm going to show you just a glimpse of what we have in Mindflow. So first here, you can design visually, like drag and drop or this kind of thing, the building some flows here. You can pick whatever actions you would like. So it's kind of development, but it's visual, because then non-experts as well as experts can be able to know what's done on the screen. Okay, this is a use case in cybersecurity. It's something where basically you're subscribing to alerts here, and then you will do a task, an agentic task here, like if you were an analyst, for example, a level 1 analyst. And the magic here is that you will write the actions that you expect. I can display that full screen. You can write really the actions here directly, so that you don't need to know, the APIs, the SDK, and all of that. You would just write your procedure, and then this is like text to action. Of course, it's based on LLM, and you can pick any LLM here, including the one from Amazon, Nova Pro and Nova Lite, of course. But the magic behind this is that you need to enable the superpower in this. When you want to build these agents, you need to give them tools. And that's exactly what you can do here, the tools. And this is really the differentiation from Mindflow, because here you have 4 tools here that just are the tools that are used behind the prompt. If you look at the prompt here, of course, it can check the IP reputation of the address of an employee, for example, collect city, country, organization. You can read that. It's really different than code. It's no code here. You just write what you want. And the tools here, you can really pick in details what you need to allow to be called from this tool. For example, this tool is a CTI, threat intelligence tool. And you can really search all of the operation and then pick the one that you want to authorize to this agent. Okay, the most important part, when you want to do these agents here, or these agentic workflows, you want to maybe do some Slack message, this kind of thing here. The most important part is that you want really to be the glue of tools in your company. Companies have, hundreds, thousands of tools. And the problem with all the market players right now is that you need to develop the connectors. And in Mindflow, it's a bit different, and I'm going to hand this demo by that. And if you course, you can contact me if you want more. Or catalog or integration catalog is really, really huge. It's huge compared to the other players because we automated the connectors. Let me look at, of course, AWS. You have it all. You have all the services from AWS. So if I want to do some DynamoDB, I just click on that and then go back to one of my flows. And then I will be able to add any action from DynamoDB or any kind of, you see a few things here, like DynamoDB here. I'm going to take the action that I want to add in my flow. And then I can start no coding this if I want. I can even vibe code here it because we have here an assistant. I can say, okay, please DynamoDB, just create a table, or I don't know, create an item or this kind of thing. So it's really, I mean, again, what we do is we compress the time between the ID and the run of an automation. It can be agentic, it can be deterministic in no code. So that's what we do.
That's beautiful. And so I have so many questions. I guess the first one, maybe from a technical standpoint, is like, how does authentication actually works, and how do you get your security ready? But there was another, I think another observation from Black Box Beach from Twitch. Thank you so much for that observation. It looks like automated DevOps, but I think it does more and more and more in DevOps. This is all about like, with the fact that you can connect directly with AWS services, that is also like a layer above. It's like getting into that business logic actually. So I think that the power and like the kind of extensions that you can build on this, it's much more than DevOps, right?
All right. I mean, you can consider, if you are developers, for example, you might want to take a look at step functions on AWS to do some low-level orchestration when you want to develop it from scratch. And you can consider that here you have an upper layer. You have a way to design automation for security, for IT, for DevOps, of course, too. And we are wider than a typical automation platform which focus only on cybersecurity, like SOAR, you might know this term, or another generalist platform, because we have this wide integration layer where basically you can do, of course, if you are DevOps, maybe you're interested in connecting GitHub or GitLab here, but you have it all. You have all the operation from GitLab here and GitHub, and you can do that. But you can also do some I don't know, Salesforce or CRM inside this. It's completely broad in terms of coverage, and the depth is here because for every product we integrate, we have it all. We have all the integration layer.
That's beautiful. And I'm thinking, like, if I wanted to get started and start building with this, where is it that I should be going? Is it just mindflow.io and following up on that?
Yeah, go to mindflow.io or contact me on LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm going on X. Yeah, I will be happy to do a deeper demo if you need to.
Absolutely, sounds great. So, but while you were building Mindflow, actually, you have gifted the rest of the community with your 42 distilled best practices for the early stage startup. And this is what I want to talk about more in depth today. So I guess that we might want to start with I think that the one that I actually resonated the most are the ones around like building people, how to develop people and how to build a culture. So maybe I think we may start with I don't know. Yeah, let's pick this one. So when you're looking to hire people, just because we had somebody actually trying to pitch for a job at Mindflow, when you're trying to hire people, you want to hire for hunger, humility, and team spirit. Can you tell us just a bit more about what is it that you mean with that, and what are the best candidates that may knock at the door to mindflow.io? And by the way, are you hiring? Like, can Black Box Beach actually apply to some of your positions? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so the first thing is that last summer I was actually in vacation, and it's been a long time I wanted to write something about, our operating system. And I'm a big fan of handbooks, like the one from Basecamp, Valve, or GitLab, and all of that. I love those things. And with AI, also, it's now possible to write something really quickly. So I got my mobile app, my preferred mobile app, and talk to it, talk everything I had in mind, and then I shoot that. So for the hiring part, I think it's one of the, I'm a developer. Okay, I was a developer. I'm still a developer, and I love tech. But when you create a company, you need to really, do talk with people. You need to do social, and you need to hire some people. And it was for me really key to pick the right people. So I read a lot of things, of course, but I believe that a few things that I've written in the manifesto are really important. The first thing is that you want to hire some excellent people, but you also want some people you can work with. And sometimes it's incompatible because you have people who are probably genius, but you are not comfortable to work with them because they are just too aggressive or too bragging too much or this kind of thing. So it's important to the zero toxicity is really important for me. And everything here is we don't have dogma, okay? That can work for you, that can work for me, but sometimes it doesn't work. It's like that. But from the start, we didn't focus too much on the resume. It was important, but the thing that was really important is to know that there were some learners. The people we are some learners. And I remember one of the first guy to join the company. He came with not a lot of experience, but he came to the first interview with some prototype for the job. It was the only one. I had plenty of people with very super degree schools and all of that, but it was the only one that came and said, I have developed a prototype for what you are offering. Wow. Extra mile.
Yeah, that's I think it's a great icebreaker when it comes to like an interview. Hey, I could build your product in like just a few hours, and that's like a bold statement. But I guess it was effective. So did you end up hiring them? Because that doesn't seem
Yes.
too humble to me. Okay, that's great.
To be completely honest, when I had this first interview, and if he listens to that, he will smile. But I said to my co-founder, okay, he doesn't have enough experience because I was having a huge corporate experience before that, and I said I'm a bit prudent, but I'm not sure. But to be honest, he did great. He did bring so much to the product because he was a builder. He was just at the core of someone who can adapt and build, and that is the most important thing when you are 3-4 people. You want someone, of course, you can work with, but also someone who is capable of building, of really, no bullshit. You don't do slides at a startup. So it was really, really important.
Yeah. And I highly resonate with that. I was reading, I think on Reddit the other day, the rant of a disgruntled developer that would say, "Hey, I was working at my dream startup. I really loved my job, and then somebody was hired from like a different, like maybe larger company. They had a lot of experience, but also they brought on a lot of ego, and it made me realize that like now every team meeting, every feature, everything that I want to build is actually a fight. And they said, you know what? I'm not here to fight. I'm here to build. And that was like, wow, this is absolutely something that you probably want to like. When you're building your team, you really want to have this is like a commandment or something like that, because yes, you can have like the incredible and unmatched, unparalleled talent, but then if you're destructing like the harmony of the ecosystem or the team, then that's if every meeting is going to be a drag and actually you're destroying the morale of the team, that's not going to be.
you don't have any clue of what you are going to build. I mean, 4 years ago when we started, we knew a little bit what we wanted to achieve, but you don't know how, you don't know with who, you don't know, you don't really know what will be hard, what will be easy. So yeah, you need to really to have some people who can adapt. Yeah, that's the key. Learn to learn. That's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to drag into the discussion Nicolas, and I'm going to ask him maybe in a few seconds what his favorite of your recommendation actually is. But the thing that you made me that really made me resonate is with the last thing you said is that you want your developers to or well, whoever you hire to actually tear down the walls and getting to the builder mindset. Always be curious and non-judgmental. So can you say something about that? Because or actually, can you maybe give us the concrete example that made you think that was one of the best practices for in your startup?
Yeah, you are talking about everyone is a builder, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
in like you really want to tear down the walls, and you can actually be in a position whereby you might want to tear down the silos that normally get created while when
Yeah.
you're expanding your team.
Yeah, again, when I worked in a large corporate, of course, you need to have some specialists and all of that. But in a startup where basically everything has to be built, you need some people to have multiple hats, and that's good. I mean, so everyone is a designer, everyone is an engineer, everyone is in support, everyone needs to be a founder. It's like founder mode, this kind of thing. You need to own things, and we have plenty of examples during those 4 years where some people unexpectedly did something that they weren't skilled for at start. So I did some HR. I never did that before. And some people in the team, they did sell the product, they did support. And one of the key here, if you can, it's not always, but we have a tech product. So we are a number of tech people and some marketing and some, everyone use the product. I mean, if you can do dog fooding, I mean, it's the best because you feel the pain, you feel the good part of the product, you feel the worst part of the product. And then if you are a builder, you can fix it. We had some customer success engineer fixing bugs. We have some people not involved in sales building some automation. And that was really key, especially within the beginning. Of course, with the years, you can, of course, structure, you have more specialties, but it's important in the mindset that the people need to be able to switch their role. It's important.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we in Amazon, I resonate with this a lot because we do have a leadership principle called ownership, and like your ownership doesn't really just fit around your job description. But yeah, so that really resonates highly with me. But Nikolai, I've seen that you have unmuted yourself, so I'll shut up now.
Yeah, I think it resonates with Amazon leadership principles. We have ownership, obviously. I also see a recommendation about customer obsession. I think this is Amazon #1 leadership principles. It's really to put ourselves into a customer skin, especially since we are all customers, right? We are all doing business or clients with other companies, and this is for me one of the most important leadership principles, and I like the way you describe it. It's not only about putting us into the customer skin, but also to feel their pain, right? And that's motivate us in fixing and improving the product. So I think, especially on the product side, this is super important.
Yeah, I think we did something that was really customer obsessed in just the last couple of days, and I'm actually super happy because I've always been a fan of that service. So you know how I think a year ago or a couple of years ago we de-emphasized a code commit, but actually it's coming back, and I was like, yes, this is great because I was like, we got a lot of feedback from our customers saying, dude, what are you doing? Like, we really want this out. We're really happy with code commit, and then yeah. So we're back again there. So like there's also customer obsession. It's also being about maybe willing to go back on a commitment, or like go back on a decision that you make, because at the end of the day probably 80% of the decisions you need to take are like two-way doors, right, as we call them here at Amazon, and I think this goes hand in hand. Let me see. I had a.
I have a last recommendation, because when we started the company, just before starting, I was a developer, so I know I love to code, and I wanted to start something. But what we did, and thanks to my co-founder, we interviewed a lot of people. We interviewed customer. And at start, it might seem very hard for developer, because generally you don't talk too much to, customer and these people. But you can't realize how easy it is to get some people and to discuss with them. At start, I didn't believe it, but it's very easy. So if you want to validate your idea, don't start to write some code. Start to talk to people. That's better.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And go ahead, Nico. Sorry.
Yeah, very good advice. Thank you, Fabrice. So I just wanted to ask you a question, because we said, we have similarities with our leadership principles and your recommendations. So have you heard of Amazon leadership principles? And if yes, did you get inspired when you wrote yours?
Yeah, sure. I did get inspired by a lot of things. One of the things you might be surprised is Ted Lasso TV series. Have you seen it?
I
have. Yeah,
I heard of it.
This is the best leader. I want to be that guy. Really. I recommend to see that if you want to lead some people. It's really key. But of course, yes, Nicola, I did read a lot of things, because I love. Even when I was a developer, I was really curious on how a small company can work, and how we could do that. So I read a lot of things, including Amazon. So things like disagree and commit, 2 pizza teams, working backwards, this kind of thing. I got a lot of inspiration on that. Again, it's not a dogma. You need to adapt them. For example, disagree and commit, I adapted this after reading some ex-tweet from Alan Oleb, I think. It's about consent. I love to say consent and disagree. You can disagree, but you consent to try something. And it's a thin line, but consent to something is okay. I might disagree, but let's try it. And it makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agreed. And disagree and commit was the one that I struggled the most, to be honest, in my first years as an Amazonian. So like it's kind of an art. It takes a very long time to actually learn that kind of balance. And yeah, so I really would like to learn a bit more from you, and like in how maybe some
I'd
of
say
those moments.
It's difficult, because as a founder, of course, you can decide if you can arbitrate and all of that. So you need to apply it also to you. Sometimes, let's take an example. We did some study on some topics, and there is like, I don't know, there are like 5 options, and everyone has this preferred option and all of that. So you need to be prepared as a founder to agree with those guys. If they are inclined to do one of the option and you are not, try to convince them, try to collect data, evidence. But in the end, if you don't have evidence, okay, let's do it for you. And it's very difficult, and I can be very opinionated, and the team knows that. But if you get proof of what you say, okay, let's go. I mean, let's try, and then we'll see.
Yeah,
But it's not obvious. Yeah.
yeah, because also you have to have a very, I think, mature experimentation framework in place to actually
Yes.
be able to to help out people innovate at that speed, and just to say, okay, this is an investment we're making here. We really want to understand, if this is going to move the needle. But in order to do that, like, you need to have, I think, a lot of like probes or like pieces of your product that are observable, and understanding like if you can get any feedback from the user as well. So I think that's a very interesting one. And actually, I got a very interesting question here from William and from Twitch. So question about how can we evolve an idea that came at a hackathon into a startup, and at what point do I know that the idea it's actually startup material? Thank you so much, William, for that question.
The first is obvious. You need to fake it. You need to fake your idea, present that to customer, get evidence. If you have evidence, then talk to investor. And if you are lucky, you will convince something. You need to convince someone for sure. But yeah, I did I did some hackathon myself. I did just things that I will create. The next startup. I did that a few times before creating Mindflow. But again, the key thing is to talk with customer and to get evidence that what you're thinking about is great. I mean, you hackathon is good, but let's after the hackathon, if you have nice evidence of that, then go to see customer. I mean, people who can validate that.
And well, and just a follow-up question from my side. And what do you think have been the most effective ways to actually get in touch with customers, like getting your products in the hands of the customers and getting the feedback back? Again, William, thank you so much for that question.
Things that don't scale. I mean, you need to do things that don't scale. Contact people on LinkedIn, contact people from your network, contact everyone in events. And of course, you will have plenty of useless stuff, but at some point you will get some interesting conversation. So, I mean, at start, of course, as a developer, I want to automate everything, to structure everything. But at the very, very first start, just contact people. And if you contact 100 people, you will have maybe 1, 2 you can talk with. You create a calendar with a meeting. And at start, it was really difficult for me because I didn't understand that you can talk with people without having nothing. I mean, we didn't have the product. We just had the pitch. But believe me, you can talk to people with the pitch. I mean, it just works. You can talk. Okay, they will guess that you don't have the product, but they will talk to you, and you will collect some evidence, some ideas, and all of that, and that's the most important. And people love to do that. I mean, some people love to discuss with you. I mean,
yeah, I think it's sometimes people say it's luck, right? But I think we can provoke luck.
Yeah.
And that's the idea. There's another thing I tried one day, that was some time ago, is to send a calendar invite to someone you want to talk to, because sometimes you send message, you don't have response. So just take the action. It might not work for everybody, but at least for me it works. So yeah, sometimes.
So basically, social engineering your way into a sales pitch or something like that. I love that kind of approach. And again, like, kind of resonates to like another leadership principle we have, which is bias for action, right? So I guess I'll try that as well. But that's
people.
okay.
If we get back to the question, from a hackathon to a startup. So as you said, Fabrice, you have to raise funds. That's something super important. Even maybe more than 50% of the work is not building the app, but selling it and raising funds. But VCs are hiring people or funding startups on the people. Maybe sometimes at early stage more than on the product, because we know the product will change. it will evolve. So it's really the team that's the main driver for raising fund, and that's how you act that will influence the VCs.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's in the manifesto. Ideas are cheap. I mean, everybody has ideas. But an idea is just, I mean, you need to explore. You need to execute the idea. Otherwise, it's. I mean, and it's. I mean, not so often that you have an idea that nobody had. I mean, it's generally you find it. So
Yeah.
the execution is making a difference.
Yeah, at the very beginning of my entrepreneur journey as well, I don't think we had like the most original idea, and I don't think that the value is there. But like a lot of entrepreneurs, when they first approach a problem, or like whenever they have an idea, they might think it's not original, therefore it's not worth pursuing it. But actually, you know, it's kind of a spectrum. Like there are a lot of various different interpretation that your customers may have for the tools that you're building, for the product that you're actually building. So you never know what is going to actually resonate. So absolutely, it's all about execution, and that this is why like you know you need to build a team that has a clear and shares your vision. This is why I think I resonate a lot with you know, your first principle, which is everyone's on stage and you need to nail your pitch. So like everybody in your team needs to share at least like 80% of your vision, right? And then you know the execution is where you actually can make a difference. But I think the next one I wanted to explore a bit more, and you kind of passed on it, and in the past few minutes, but we talked about it when you get feedback from the user. In your manifesto, you say that roadmap is a compass. It's definitely not like a charted road. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, this is probably, I think, one of the hardest to do, because when you start to have some customer, you start to have feature requests, support requests, and all of that. And you might say, okay, I will go all in one because customer is an obsession, and you need to fix for sure, and you need to develop the feature that the user wants. But it's not that simple. I mean, it's not a dogma. I mean, it's a balance. You really need to listen to your customers, but you also need to listen to the market, especially when you work in a challenging area like ours. I mean, we were a second mover on the automation platforms, so you need to say, okay, I'm going to fulfill the customer, but at the same time, I need to see the market. Let me take an example. 4 years ago or 3 years ago, something like that, we decided to go with agentic and AI agents. Nobody asked us to do that. Nobody, no customer. I mean, the customer, they live in their reality, in their present. They don't live in your future. So we needed to listen to the market to do that. And fortunately, we did it early. So that's exactly the platform I shown to you, because otherwise we wouldn't be there today. Now, of course, you need to listen to your customer, and customers, especially large enterprise like our domain, they need roadmaps. I'm a big fan of no roadmap, so it's a bit conflicting. So you need to find your balance. Like, for example, you have a roadmap, but you don't put everything that you have in your plan inside the roadmap. You use a now, next, later thing. If you can, you only show 1 quarter and not the full year. Otherwise, I mean, you will disappoint investors, you will disappoint customers, and all of that. So you need to structure what you are going to do, but I mean, be transparent inside the company. But outside the company, okay, don't talk too much. Don't give bullets to people, because otherwise they will use it and they will say, okay, you haven't done this or that. And one last recommendation, especially within the first years, you really need to focus on repetitive stuff. I mean, if one customer asks for something and if 100 of customers ask for something, it's really different. So focus on when you have 100 of people asking something, and okay, disappoint someone if you can, but disappoint if it's not repetitive.
What's the balance on your roadmap between customer, product, feature requests, and I would call it, the trend. So what competitors do and the markets do. How do you balance this this priority?
The first thing is that you're so engaged into your products that at some point you need really to look at competition, you need to look at the market and all of that. If you don't take that time, you don't know what you're going to do and what you need to do. So spend some time to do that. To be really 100% honest, it's with the years it's becoming harder and harder to do it, because you have more customers. At start, you have maybe, if you're in B2B, you have like 1 or 2 customers, so it's easy to manage. When you have 20 or more customers, you have plenty of feature requests, and then you need to prioritize that. There is no silver bullet, but basically you need to focus on the real problem. I don't know how to say that in English, but you need to listen to the customer, but you don't need to listen to them. I mean, you don't need to implement right now what they are asking for. Just look behind. And for the agentic part, I mean, you need to follow the trend. You need to follow it, and at some point, I mean, agentic, for example, we started. It wasn't, I would say, a major topic. And maybe 3 weeks later it was. That's, you need to feel it. I mean, that's. But yeah, just avoid. Just prevent to do every ID you might have or the customer have, because otherwise you will kill your product basically.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is what we call a manage customer expectation, right?
Exactly. You can say no. I mean, we got some contract with people when we say, okay, it's not now, we will not do that. But it was enough appealing for them to sign a contract.
That must be a very tough decision, right? Because especially in the early stage, you want to have enough runway, you want to secure as many contracts as you can. So I guess, like, how do you actually take that sort of how do you make that sort of decision? So is it because it's not aligning right now with the roadmap? So help me understand how, because that is, I think it might make or break a startup, right? You're missing on the right contract, and bam, your runway is gone.
Difficult. If you have the structure to do it, then you can have better decision, because you have, for example, feature requests are logged into your system. You can measure that. I would have loved to be transparent that from the salespeople you get some feedback from that. So unfortunately, it's difficult, and I recognize that it's not obvious, because there are tons of calls, and people don't take time to write their feedback or this kind of thing. But if you can structure enough that, then you have the data to leverage on. You can measure, okay, this feature has been raised by a lot of people. This feature hasn't been raised by a lot of people. So you can give priority to that. But I mean, we are still humans. I mean, you cannot decide like robots. I mean, at some point you need some gut feeling, and a bit of luck also, of course. But you can avoid just feature factories, or even if we did it also at some point. So you need to do mistakes also to learn, of course.
That makes
workflow you can automate with Mindflow, right? You gather data from customer, then you aggregate, you summarize, you categorize, you prioritize. And by the way, I was about to ask you the question: are you Mindflow using Mindflow platforms for your own workflows? Are you?
Everyone is using Mindflow at Mindflow. Marketing, product, developers. Example for every release that we do is automated with, of course, infrastructure as code, but also a lot of playbooks in Mindflow. Since last week, my head of engineering has done the full release notes process through agentic AI, and so we create the release in our system, we push the tag in GitHub, we publish a draft for the release notes, everything from tickets, everything is automated from Mindflow. So everyone in the company is using that, of course, on a different degree, but yeah, we are. It's very important because again, you feel the pain.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and that, I think that's again, like a way to force you into customer obsession, because that really if you are the first user of your product, then it kind of gives you I would say like an unfair advantage or something along those lines.
Absolutely.
Because you will you'll avoid a lot of all of those issues that would cost you development cycles if they get in front of I would say of the customers. So
read about the Airbnb founder, and you will see.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly lived that life.
And you actually you mentioned something interesting about building a team that is actually focused on that vision. I wanted to learn a bit more about I would say all of the practices that you've distilled around like building culture and the team. There was one that really piqued my interest because it's kind of controversial. You see some other CEOs and CTOs maybe being against that, which is actually that one-on-ones are sacred. Can you tell us a bit more about like what that aspect of of like building a culture of like purposeful one-on-ones, and how it helps in like building the relationship with your team, but also like aligning them to the vision?
Yeah, I know that's controversial because you don't want to spend useless time with people. We are not fans of meetings, of course, but the one-to-one that we are doing are really, really important. The problem I believe is that most of the people don't know what should be a one-to-one. I mean, it's not about your activity or what you did yesterday, or it's not a daily, it's not a personal meeting for discussing, career every few weeks. So we practice that 10 to 15 minutes one-to-one every 3 weeks with everybody in the company. The main benefit, I hope that we will continue that. The main benefit I see is that you get the problem early. I mean, as early as possible. And one of the recommendation I did, because I started to practice that from the start of Mindflow, it's the first question should be, okay, what's your weather today? I mean, what's your weather? Your personal weather. I don't want to hear you that you did that or this, but are you comfortable with what you're doing with your colleagues and all of that? And it was really, really key for identifying the sooner the better about the personal issues or something that they agreed. For example, in the team, someone agreed to do something, but in reality, he disagreed. I mean, and you can't get that in a collective knowledge or retro. We do that, of course, we do retrospective also, but in one-on-one, the best is that you will release the feeling of the person, the weather of the person, and then it's very important because if you want to get the best of everyone, and it's dual way. I mean, I'm not afraid in some meetings to say I struggle with this or with that with my I don't know, head of engineering or my head of product. I'm completely transparent. I mean, it's my way to do it. I don't know, but it works, and it works pretty well for all the people. If you want to keep people who are excellent, you need to communicate with them. And having this ritual, because it's a ritual, and you don't do that just oh, I have a one-on-one and spontaneous. No, it's a ritual. Every week, 3 weeks, you know that, and at some point it's valuable. So yeah, we do that full company. Yeah.
That's a good message.
Yeah,
That's a good message, especially for automation platform that put humans at the first place. This is a good message.
yeah, and again, like we're building these tools for human usage, right? And to, I think, make the most out of their time, because I think that a lot, even what I do like day to day, right? You know, updating. And by the way, there's a principle that you have there, which is like keeping your CRM true, right? A lot of the stuff that I might end up doing is actually, you know, making sure that I have all of my notes in the right place and in the right format, so that I can communicate to. I mean, you can imagine within Amazon, like the communication is it easily gets indirect, right? And then you know, we need to build mechanisms to actually report all of the way up, and it's you know, it might be a challenge in itself, because you have to do a lot of that work, or grunt work, let's put it like grunt work, manually. But again, like all of these tools that we're building, all of these automations, we are doing it in order to making sure that the humans spend, I guess, in our case, more time talking with customers, like we're actually doing today. And there's but apart from that, like there was I think Sagar, I don't know why the name doesn't pop up here, but is saying, like, you know, working is a Mindflow employee, and says that, like, oh, this is something that we do at Mindflow, but importantly, with one-on-ones, you can also emerge a lot of different use cases. So that again is like, as Fabrice was saying, this is also a research tool, something that you never know will blow up into use case that our customers might want to use. So absolutely, I think they're building that sort of culture of having one-on-ones, and make sure that they are sacred, in the sense of it's not just an empty ritual, but it is something that we use as a tool to communicate, and as a tool to bubble up customer pain point. That is really helpful. I guess
And one last thing about that, you need to write the action. I mean, if you want people to trust those one-on-ones, if you have actions, you need to do it. I mean,
you need to follow up.
Follow up is important. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. If you don't see, I think if you don't see any action, then that's when those sort of one-on-ones start feeling like ritualistic. You do it because it's something that, you know, you started at the beginning of your of like the design of your culture, like the emergence of your culture, but then it's kind of empty. So folks, we're rapidly getting to the close of the stream for today. So Nicolas, I just wanted to give you like the chance, maybe if you want to ask like one last question to Fabrice, or maybe comment on your collaboration and your role within AWS in helping out Mindflow. I guess that would be a nice cherry on top of this fantastic episode.
Yeah, well, first, I'm super happy to be supporting Mindflow almost every day, not only on the tech part, but also on the go-to-market. And I really believe that Mindflow is a very ambitious and exciting company to work with and for. Yeah, maybe a last question that people may often ask themselves, or at least that's something I hear a lot, is we talk a lot about agents everywhere for everything. But sometimes, you know, things can be, yes, done by agents, but the cost of running agents for this task is higher than the cost of doing it manually, or because at the end it's LLMs, right? So it's GPUs, it's computes, it consumes energy. So well, it's not sustainable, but also it's expensive. So agent can automate it almost everything. But it shouldn't automate everything. Do you have any thoughts on that? Do you have any message, or is it something your customer asked you?
Yeah, sure. There are a lot of people afraid about AI and agentic AI, of course, for their job, and I believe it's legitimate. We don't lie. I mean, of course, we will eliminate some of the tasks, but I think the right way to see it first is that it augments humans. So it will allow them to, at least for some. I was today at a customer site, and people are doing some very repetitive task, very, very boring repetitive task. So those tasks, of course, it's a job. So there is a legitimate question to ask ourselves, okay, do we eliminate that or do we transform all of that? I mean, it's always the same. I mean, with cars or with phones, all of that. I mean, at some point you need to transform. So we see the automation part as a transformation, like the cloud transformation and all of that. It, of course, it transforms some of the old job into new jobs. So it's, yeah, the problem is in the transition. And of course, agents cannot do everything. That's why basically we are also delivering a no-code platform, because we know that for mission critical things, it's not the silver bullet for that. And there is also this nice term, human in the loop. I mean, there will be a human in the loop with the agents. I mean, every time you have an incident, you have a remediation. Oh, I need someone to confirm that. For the development, I'm a big fan of vibe coding, but vibe coding, I mean, you need to review the code. You need to think about it. So will developers disappear? I don't think anytime soon. I think they will, and they already transform their job. It's a different thing. You write your plan on Cloud or any kind of platform, and then once you have the plan, you generate the code, and then you review the code. So the human is still doing something, and there is some value out there. Of course, I like to write code. Like you go to a restaurant. Do you cook?
All right. So, folks, first of all, thank you, Fabrice and Nicolas, for sticking with us today, and everybody else on the various streams. We stream weekly on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. Next week we will not be streaming, and you know why? You probably know why, because reInvent is in session, and so, well, if I were you, I would just like prepare for loads and loads and loads of new announcements, and I will be, I think, digging as well myself, because as an AWS solutions architect, we never stop learning. But again, on I think the December the 9th, we will be live with Glide, another one of these startups that we helped building agentic workflow with. So folks, if you're interested in agentic AI and startups, don't miss next episode on December the 9th, 2 p.m. GMT, 9 a.m. 9 a.m. EST, and unfortunately 6 a.m. 6 a.m. On the West Coast. But again, Fabrice and Nicolas, thank you so much. This has been AWS Let's Build a Startup. We have talked about the Startup Manifesto with Mindflow.io. And I'll be your host, Giuseppe Battista. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. Thank you ever so much for sticking with us. I'll see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Giuseppe, Nicolas, and all the audience.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.